Howdy do, everyone. Well, hopefully you've already seen my Donald Trump video, my challenge to Trump, so you know what I think about him. So I figured I'd tell you about what I think of the rest of the Republican field. The Baker's Dozen, Baker's Dozen. It's already did the Trump one, so we got the dirty Baker's Dozen here, 13 of them, and I'm going to put them in a way that this is my poll, what I think of them, and I'll tell you everything you need to know about them and why I put them where they're at in the polls. And just basically all you need to know about them. And I could tell you that what they all have in common is every one of them is a coke sucker. Every single one of them is a coke sucker. That's the only thing Trump has that they don't. Is Trump's not a coke sucker, the rest of them are. Okay, but anyway, we'll get started here. At the bottom of the poll is Rachel Maddow's good friend, Mr. Jim Gilmore. Who? Right, exactly. Nobody knows who the fuck he is. So, that's all you need to know about him. And then, that guy's got a good friend that you might have heard of by the name of George Pataki. Who? Exactly. Now, neither one of these guys, I don't even know why they're running. They're not trying to get on the primary ballots. So, I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Of course, none of these people have a chance. They're all crazy sons of bitches. But anyway, moving on. The next one is a big-time criminal. Big-time criminal. He's got 3 strikes. He's a politician, a preacher, and a Fox News host, Mr. Mike Huckabee. Now, fuck. 3-time loser. You can't believe a fucking thing he says. And he likes to tell you how good he was at governor of Arkansas, but, you know, Clinton went in there and straightened Arkansas out. I'm sure he fucked something up. But, anyway, the next guy, he likes to follow Clinton's lead, too. John Kasich, he likes to stand around and watch Democrats do things, get things done, and then he's like, goes along with it and takes credit for it. And that's what he did with, you know, he always talks about the Clinton presidency, how good he was in, you know, during the Clinton presidency. And what the fuck's he doing with his lips all the time? Can't figure out. His lips are always, I don't know what the fuck you call it, but they're always moving. Was he trying to get the coke off of them or what? Who knows? Okay, on to the next person. Now this googly-eyed son of a bitch says some crazy shit, and everybody thinks of the same thing once they hear the guy's name. Mr. Rick Santorum. Yep, exactly. You hear his name, what do you think of? Man on dog. Enough said. Okay. Now this next guy, he's the most crooked of them all. This guy is one crooked son of a bitch. And he done fucked up. He's been caught now. I'm sure he's going to be indicted on many, many, many things before this 2016 election. I wouldn't see why it wouldn't be. But it's Mr. Michelin Man, Chris Christie. Yeah. Now, Christie's defense to Bridgegate was he couldn't control his staff. So what's he want to do? Fucking be president and then have the vice president run around like fucking President Cheney did and, you know, fuck up more stuff? You can't control your staff is your defense. But anyway, he's going to be indicted on that, I'm sure. And I'm sure he's going to be indicted on all kinds of stuff that he did with Sampson and the Port Authority and renting out the parking lot for $1 a year and giving Sandy relief money to developers who were Sampson's clients and got Sandy relief money to do big high rises or whatever, and they didn't even own the property at the time. So he's really mismanaging the Sandy relief money. And the poor people, they're still waiting for their money. I mean, Jesus Christ. But anyway, he has no self-control whatsoever. I mean, he wants to shoot down Russian planes. I mean, the guy has no self-control. And he truly has no self-control because you heard me call him the Michelin Man. Remember, did you see the picture of him in the baseball suit? The Michelin Man. But anyway, the guy had lap band surgery to lose weight, and he's still just as huge as he ever was. So he can't even control his sweet intake. And he can't even control his staff. So what the fuck? The guy has no chance. Anyway, number, I don't know what it is here. 7 or 8, I don't know, on the list is Marco Rubio. This guy hasn't done a fucking thing. He became senator, and then Chuck Schumer recruited him to do a bipartisan Gang of Eight, the Gang of Eight bill, the immigration bill. And it was supposed to be great and bipartisan, and it was just going to go ahead and go through. But when Rubio decided he wanted to run for president, well, you can't be a Republican and be for immigration, so he pulled the bill, and he hasn't done a fucking thing since. He doesn't even go to work anymore. Like, he's missed half of the votes. I mean, it's... all these fucking idiots want to run on their records, but their records suck. I mean, you know, we're paying this guy good money to go there and be a senator and get things done. None of these fuckers want to do anything. Now, next on the list is Jeb Bush. And I'm going to agree with Donald. This guy's low energy. He's got 17 out of 21 of his dad and his brother's advisors. So, you know, that's disaster waiting to happen. And I'm not even sure Jeb wants to be president. But he went out there and raised a whole bunch of money, you know, when he was officially not running for president, and he went out and campaigned and got all this money for the super PACs, which is borderline illegal. I mean, fuck. But anyway, he thought it was all going to be given to him, you know, because he went out there and raised the most money and all this shit. His last name's Bush. But, you know, we found out different. And we really found out different about him. For years, they've been saying that he's the smart one. This guy is not smart at all. He's definitely not the smart one of the family. And I got a new name for him, the Miami Sound Machine. And that's for Rachel Maddow. She'll get what I'm talking about there. And, well, I don't know. We really shouldn't get Miami Sound Machine, the band, involved with that. We'll call him the Miami Noise Machine. Okay? And now this guy here has been in the basement, in the dungeon, this whole time. He's never registered in the polls that I know of, but I'm bringing him up to 5th place in the polls for a really good reason. Mr. Lindsey Graham. Mr. Lindsey Graham is not the hateful son of a bitch that the rest of these candidates are. He's just a nice guy. He wants to help people. He's just in the wrong party, you know. He really needs to come out of the closet and join the We Accept Everyone party, the blue party. And, you know, then he can really help people there. Now, he's dropped out of the race, but, you know, I had him up at number 5 in the polls, but too bad he dropped out. He said he wants to concentrate more time on supporting another candidate. Well, you should support me. And Lindsay, if I become president, I'd like you to come to the White House with me. And I think you'd be really good at sewing some new curtains for the windows. I would love to have you there doing that. So if I get elected, you got a job. Okay. Now, this next one here is at number 4. And the only reason they're at number 4 is because they're pretending to be an outsider. And, but let me tell you this. When you hear what I say, you're going to know exactly who I'm talking about. Nobody can stand this person. No one that's ever met him, been around him, knows them, can stand him. Who? Yep, Mr. Ted Cruz. How do we know? How do we know nobody can stand him? I'll tell you about that in a second. But anyway, I don't even know why this fucker's running, for one thing. He's not eligible to be president. He was born in Canada. His dad was a Cuban, and we don't know what his mother was. She could have been Cuban, Canadian, or American. We don't know. Nobody's telling us, and so he's not eligible. He was born in Canada. And he was an Obama birther. But anyway, the rules to being president are you have to be over 35 years of age and born in the United States. That's what it says. So Ted Cruz, I don't even know why he's running. We know for sure that he was born in Canada. Anyway, he ran for the Senate on the idea, which all Republicans do, they always like to run on the idea that government is broken and doesn't work, and then they get elected and prove it. They don't do shit. That's what Ted Cruz has done. He got elected to the Senate, and all he does is cause trouble. He's not trying to get anything passed. Hell, he single-handedly shut the government down, costing us $24 billion. And the guy hates everyone. He just hates everyone. Unless you are, of top pedigree in the top 1% of the richest people in the world, he really doesn't want to have anything to do with you. And he's not rich that way. He's not a 1%er. But, of course, he wants to be by sucking coke. But anyway, there's something wrong with the guy. He hates everyone. I think he's got some pent-up rage or something like that. And maybe he needs to come out of the closet like Lindsey Graham, and chill out a little bit. But anyway, the reason we know that nobody can stand Ted Cruz is because his college roommate came out and said that he cannot stand Ted Cruz, never could, and he said that he would have rather just picked any name out of the phone book to be a roommate with than to ever have anything to do with Ted Cruz. He just cannot stand the guy. So that's one guy there. But there are a proven fact that 535 people can point their finger at Ted Cruz and say they cannot stand that guy. I don't know anybody in the world that people that actually know the person, have been around them. I mean, get 535 people that can actually point at that person and say, I cannot stand that son of a bitch. But the 535 people that cannot stand Ted Cruz, and I guess it's 536 because I'm going to put myself in there too. But anyway, his college roommate, 99 of the other senators, the other 99 senators, and 435 members of the House of Representatives. 535 people, 536 with me. Well, of course, I haven't been around him. I just know I can't stand the son of a bitch. But 535 people cannot stand that son of a bitch. How could he have a chance of being president? How did he even get to where he is? I have no idea. Nobody can stand the son of a bitch. So, let's move on. Okay, the next person is, I'm going to call him Sleepy Sleeperson, Mr. Ben Carson. I'm pretty sure this guy's a savant. You know what a savant is, right? You saw in the movie Rain Man? That's a savant. Now, Ben Carson must be a savant because uh, evidently he's a brilliant brain surgeon. But the guy needs to have his head examined because he knows nothing about the way government works. And he's running for president. I mean, and plus he's a black guy who's a Republican. Come on, Republicans hate the blacks. They always have. But, you know, you got a few black Republicans. You got Ben Carson. What was that other guy's name? The 999 guy. He was funnier than hell, but, you know, I just don't understand it. But anyway, Ben Carson's not very bright for being a brilliant brain surgeon. He's against affirmative action, which helped him get to where he is. And he has less policies than Trump, who has zero. None of these people have any policies. And I think the only reason we're talking about Ben Carson is because he's non-establishment. And people are going for Trump and Carson because they can't stand politicians. Because they can't stand them because they're liars. And mostly the Republicans are. They fuck them over. That's the only reason we're talking about him. I have no idea why he's running for president, knowing nothing about government. I think he's just using it to sell his books. So, okay, we'll get rid of him. We're at number 2 already. Number 2 on the polls, the runner-up, is the lady, Carly Fiorina. Now, the reason she's at number 2 is because, as far as Republicans go, she's got everything they want, or everything they do, anyway. She was the first woman CEO, high-powered woman CEO, that she ran Hewlett-Packard. But she ran Hewlett-Packard right into the ground. I mean, she laid off thousands of workers, and the stock prices were cut in half. I mean, people lost half of their fucking money because of Carly Fiorina. But, man, the Hewlett-Packard gave her a shitload of money to leave. They, like, bought her contract out, cut their losses, get out, leave. She fucked it up so bad. But see, the reason I got her at second in the polls is because she has everything Republicans have. The last 3 Republican presidents fiscally ran the country into the ground. And Carly Fiorina says, well, hell, I'm good at running things into the ground. Why don't I try to be the Republican nominee, you know? So that's the reason I got her at number 2 here. But, and plus, you know, we're going to have our first woman president, or she thinks we're going to have our first woman president, but it is not going to be her. I'll tell you that. And we're up to number 1 in the polls. The person that I think the Republicans should nominate, this person makes the most sense out of anyone. And there's 2 things that that him and I see the same thing on. And I'll tell you what they are. It is Mr. Rand Paul. What I like about Rand Paul is he's against war and he goes to work. And that's why he should be the Republican nominee. No? Really. That's it. That's it. 2 things. Against war and he goes to work. That's all the Republicans have. That's the best person they have for their nominee. You know, yeah, sure. I wrote some other things on here too that, you know, he's a proven plagiarist, but all members of Congress are plagiarists, you know. The lobbyists write the laws and then, you know, Congress puts their name on them. And, you know, too bad that they weren't wearing NASCAR uniforms, you know. Congress, anyway. If they were wearing NASCAR uniforms, we'd know who they were working for. because they're sure the fuck not working for us. But anyway, at the top of my poll, the Republican nominee should be Mr. Rand Paul, because he's against war and he goes to work. That's it. He's got half a brain, but the rest of them don't have half a brain between them. So I have no idea how they're going to get one person with a brain to be their nominee. But anyway, that's what I think of them, and we'll go from there. I'll keep you posted. If there's other things I think you should know about this candidate or that, I will make some videos on those. And we got a lot more stuff coming up, so stay tuned. And vote blue.